market look for upside and potential principal as well.
All right, guys, I want to thank you. The Cost of Freedom continues on the Place for Business. You are watching Fox. Stay with Fox. Cool and Rich.
Well, at a time when the government should be looking to cut spending, the White House is accused of kicking off a 100-city spending tour. Federal officials going from city to city instructing local leaders how to get their hands on even more federal money. So is this necessary, or is it the worst use of taxpayer dollars at a critical time? Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes, Rick Ungar, Rich Karlgaard, Elizabeth MacDonald, John Tamny, and joining us for the very first time, but not the last, Sabrina Schaeffer. Good to see you all. Steve, the White House, by the way, is denying that this is a spending tour. What do you say?
If they deny that it's a spending tour, that's exactly what it is, David. These guys are addicted to spending. They don't realize they take resources out of the economy when they do this, which hurts the economy. Money does not come from manna from heaven. It doesn't come from Mars. It comes from we the people through taxing, borrowing, or printing money, which is another form of taxation. This is just a symptom of a sick capital nation.
Rick, is this a spending tour, or is this something that we need?
It's a wonderful PR campaign is what it is, but what I like about it is the very people who voted for the appropriations that create money to help cities are the same people who are labeling this wild spending tour. All that's happening is government agencies are going into these cities to help them more efficiently use the government money that we've committed to these programs so they're not wasting it. Why is this a bad idea?
Well, because of the fact, Rich, that a lot of people suggest it encourages local officials to take more federal money.
Yeah, you're right about that. But you know what this really is? This is the campaign for the 2014 elections. That's why he's going to 100 cities, 100 congressional districts.
He's not going.
You know, what Obama wants to do is leave an FDR legacy of spending and new government programs. The only way he's going to do that is to have a veto-proof majority in the Senate and to recapture the House of Representatives. So make no mistake, this is the opening volley of the 2014 campaign.
And, John, just at a time when some people inside the Beltway anyway are trying to cut spending. By the way, the debt clock just keeps on ticking along. It seems like just yesterday we went to $16 trillion. Now we are actually closer to $17 trillion than we are to $16 trillion. It's now $16.6 trillion. I mean, this is not the time for a spending tour, if that's what you want to call it, right?
It's not, but this is the Obama administration playing politics. They naively believe that government spending enhances our well-being. But this is the job of the Republican Party, then, in control of the House, to point out that government spending is, in fact, an economy-smothering concept that destroys exponentially more jobs than it actually creates. It's time for Republicans to back up their rhetoric and block it.
EMAC, is this a spending tour?
Yeah, it's a spending tour. And I want that debt clock that the Democrats say embarrasses them in hearing rooms. Remember, they didn't want the debt clock this week. They wanted it removed. I say put in the front grill of that bus on that spending tour, because what's going on is that essentially, by the way, if any CEO told their company and scared the bejesus out of their company saying, you know what, 2% in cuts of our budget, we're going to have to lay you off, that CEO would be shown the door, and that's what's going on. We've had average 17% growth in agency increases, and we're talking just about a 2% cut. I mean, it's tiny. So we are in the fifth year of $3.5 trillion budgets. Hang on, let me just tell you this. We have 1.4% anemic growth and 3 million less Americans working. All the spending ain't working.
Well, and Sabrina, it's really not a cut at all if you look at what's happening to overall expenses. So far, we've had two spending bills that are supposedly focused on cutting the deficit, and neither one of them, one proposed by the president, well, with the last tax increases, and the other one proposed by Democrats now, neither one of them have spending increase. There is still an increase, a net increase in spending.
Right. This hysteria is really much ado about nothing. And the reality is, you know, I think it's so rich to watch Democrats now pointing at this political prop, the debt clock, as if that's going to be a real distraction from the issue at hand. As you say, we're creeping towards $17 trillion in debt. we're borrowing 40 cents of every dollar. Americans know that this is ridiculous, that we're now talking about expanding universal preschool as a selling tool for Democrats to get more power in 2014.
Rick, what about that? The president's always talking about a balanced approach. Neither approach presented, neither the last tax increase, which had 0 spending cuts, or the current proposal by Democrats have any spending cuts at all. They're just moving things around.
Well, actually, that's not true.
It is true, Rick. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
It's not true.
Hold on. Hold on.
Sorry,
Rick, hold on,
The,
Rick. You can't say that when it is true. You're entitled to your opinion, but not the facts. The Congressional Budget
You're
Office,
saying that there are no spending cuts in the
Budget
Democrat
Office
Senate?
has determined, and they are a nonpartisan organization, determined that, in fact, the Democrats' last proposal has a net increase in spending. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, so you're not saying there are no spending cuts. You're saying that when you add in the revenue increases, it's
there is a net
increase
in federal spending. We will be spending more money in 2013 than we are this year.
Oh, actually, I think that's probably right. We probably will be spending more money, but you know as well as I do that that's not how you do an analysis of spending cuts. But let me go back, if I could, David,
yes, it
to
is.
the topic.
Wait.
My friend, you going to let me go back to the topic or
no?
no?
Go ahead.
My friend Rich seems to be of the opinion that Barack Obama is going out on a rock and roll tour here and stopping in 100 cities. The president is not going on a 100-city tour. These are agencies of government going out to work with these various cities to help them be efficient in how they use money. Now, David, we have increased spending every year. I'm going back to your point.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, although...
Why did they... Wait a minute, Rick.
Hold on. Quick, finish the point, Rick. Go ahead.
You will acknowledge that we have seen a decline in annual deficit every year, will you not? Not the national debt, but the deficit in the budget.
Listen,
we've been seeing that since
deficit's
2009.
The debt clock is increasing. Go ahead, Emac.
I'll tell you something. The polls are already showing
you wanna acknowledge
taxpayers
that?
are tired of the spending increases in Washington, D.C. Taxpayers didn't pay our guys in Washington, D.C., who we hired, to increase spending and increase our taxes. This 100-city tour, whatever, I don't care. Already there have been roadmaps presented by CBO, Congressional Research Service, saying there are hundreds of billions of dollars in redundancies at federal agencies. The problem is we also have 80 federal union worker groups and unions that are saying, wait a second, don't cut my spending, keep it intact.
Sabrina,
so that's the problem,
let
too.
me just be specific here about what is being spent in one of these tours. They're going to Beaverton, Oregon, for example. A lot of federal officials are going in to talk about how to get more federal money. One of the things they've been spending federal money on, $1.6 million went to Beaverton, Oregon, from the Centers for Disease Control to jumpstart partnerships among local community health organizations. This is the sort of thing they're spending money on. Is this really not where we should be cutting rather than increasing?
Well, no, the president knows how to be a politician, and he knows this is his field office on steroids. He knows that when he gets down on the ground and talks to people, he's able to change minds. And if you ask people, do you think we have a good education system, they say no. But if you ask them if they like their particular public school, they say yes. So if you suddenly talk about how the spending that we're doing here in Washington impacts you in Oregon, people are going to get on board with you. And so, unfortunately, the president is probably more savvy than we like to let on in terms of how this is going to help.
And, Steve, the fact is that we're going in the wrong direction. We are spending more money for all the talk about cuts.
That's right. And as the entitlements kick in, it's going to get worse, David. If we had a normal economic recovery, normal economic growth, we'd have sliced at least another $500 billion off of the deficit just through growth alone. So the pathetic cut in the deficit in this point of a recovery is just that, pathetic.
All right, a cut is a cut is a cut. Coming up next, millions of Americans work from home to avoid all of this. But now Yahoo is saying no more. It is forcing employees back into the office place, and it could start a trend. Is that the best or the worst thing for America's workforce? That's coming next.
Searching for a bank designed for investors like you? Schwab Bank was built with all the value and convenience investors want, like no ATM fees worldwide and no nuisance fees. Plus, deposit checks with mobile deposit and manage your cash and investments with Schwab's mobile app.